Is that something we want to make Liberty go?
Good evening and welcome to our special meeting here, October 23rd, 2024. And it's 5:08. And Ms. Barnes, if you could do roll call.
President Kaminsky,
Here.
Vice President Kelly,
Present.
Clerk Wood, here. Trustee Cooper,
Present.
Trustee Napier,
Here.
Trustee Sweeney absent, Superintendent Larson Everson,
Present.
and I'm Deanna Barnes.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. Now it's time for a flag salute and a moment of silent reflection. If everyone would please stand and face the flag. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Well, they're fixing the blinds. Because of the change in time of the meeting start, I know, in fact, most of you know that Trustee Sweeney comes from work down in Bakersfield, and it's hard for her to get here at 5. So we're going to do the formalities, and hopefully she can be here by the time we go into closed session. But I'm going to be taking my time. With that, we need item 2, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I have a comment.
It was motioned by
Oh,
Trustee
come on.
Napier and seconded by Trustee Cooper to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
No.
Aye.
No.
Napier didn't, he didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I heard everybody at once.
Napier's got a comment.
Okay, you had a comment, Trustee Napier?
I did.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
To be fully transparent, item 7.1 was an agenda item that I requested earlier last week through the board president and superintendent. That item has been approved and it's on the agenda here tonight. However, I think it is, the way the agenda is structured is not a transparent process whatsoever. I think if we're going to actually have an agenda item to discuss the consideration of posting the job for the interim superintendent, having that following an actual interview of one single candidate that was chosen by the board president alone is not a transparent process. I think we as a board discussed it last week in quite detail, and of course there was no formal vote on that process. However, there was a consensus to discuss a lot of these things. The superintendent was very quick to provide us details of the process. And so with that being said, I recognize that the gentleman here for the interview, that was, again, to be very transparent, was scheduled by the board president. That was not a board action item. So with that being said, I would like to move item 7.1 to the beginning of the agenda.
Did you see the superintendent's second email today? Okay. Because since that meeting, things have changed. I'm more than willing to share emails and communication between myself, Dr. McCoy, and Dr. Mendenburo at the county office.
That's fine. Again, I still would like to, I think as the agenda stands today, what you're discussing was an email that was sent to the board. Again, I know that was just strictly communication. There was no Brown Act violation there. However, that's not a transparent process as well. Again, I am making a motion that we move agenda item 7.1 to the beginning of the meeting.
Any other
I'll second
comments? Anybody want to discuss? Trustee Cooper, Vice President Kelly?
I have no disagreement with that.
Trustee Cooper, can you say that on the record, on your mic, please?
I
Thank
said
you.
I have no disagreement with that.
Vice President Kelly, do you have any comment?
Yeah, I realize we don't have a motion, but I would like trustee Napier to be more specific. Item 3, 3.1, 2.
No, as my motion was to move item 7.1 to the beginning of the meeting. That's the superintendent search, section 7, number 1, discussion and action item consideration regarding posting job opening for the interim superintendent. I make a motion that we move that to the beginning of the meeting because the interview process could be pointless if that discussion goes a different way.
Totally on board. Are we between items 3 and 4, though? Is that where you're
Or
looking to move?
2 and 3,
Yeah.
I would think.
Correct.
Which one?
Which one?
Was it different?
After 2 or after 3?
Well, okay, after 2.
Yeah. So just to be clear, was that a motion you made
Yes.
to move item 7.1 to item, it'd be the new number 3?
Can we take a deep breath? Because there was a motion by Cooper. I just need to know if we need to finalize that one.
There was no motion by Cooper. Speaking of the mic, so it can be on the record, please.
Cooper did say right before you started that he was making a
think-
motion. So I just want to make sure that we're clear that either he has one or he doesn't. I just want to make sure that we get the paperwork right.
I think we said it simultaneously.
Well, he made the motion, but nobody seconded it.
Nobody seconded.
Correct.
So it failed.
And I didn't announce that he had
Yeah.
made the motion,
Yeah.
because I just heard a bunch of,
And then he made a new
Voices.
motion, and then I seconded that one, but then we haven't had a vote yet, I think.
okay, so the motion is for, to be clear, that item 7.1 be moved to new number 3 after number 2 approval of the agenda.
That's correct.
Okay, that's the motion. Is there a second?
A second?
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries 4-1. Now we have item 2, approval of the agenda. With a new change, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with that change, moving 7.1 to the new 3?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
It was motioned by trustee Napier and seconded by Vice President Kelly to approve the agenda with the change just made. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So now we have the new number 3, discussion and action item, consideration regarding posting job opening for interim superintendent.
I have a question real quick. Did anybody communicate with trustee Sweeney? Because I know she was planning on being here. Obviously, we're heading into some very detailed, specific conversations. I know it's for sake of time, I know it's kind of frustrating, but I would love to take a break until she got here. I think it's very important, especially with her being a board member that is not up for reelection. I think it'd be very valid for her to be here. So even if we got to wait 45 minutes, my apologies, everyone, but
I've
I think.
texted her about 5 minutes ago. I haven't gotten a
Okay.
reply back.
Anybody call her or anything? Could we? All right. The main reason for that is it's not that she's late. There was a miscommunication. Stuff
Right, right.
happens. There was a miscommunication with the agenda
And
time.
she was
so
at work. She may not have been able to see the.
I've spoken with her today, actually, and she's planning to be here, but
At 6.
I'm assuming it was 6. So again, I would feel really bad if she shows up at 6 and we're just about done and we have some pretty heavy items for a board member who has 2 more years on her seat.
With that, we will take a recess, and,
Maybe we can call her and just see.
yeah, I'll call her right now. We'll take a recess at 5:15. It is 6:19. We're reconvening the open session of the meeting, and we thank Trustee Sweeney. I know it's stressful. And she got behind the accident, and that's added more stress. And hopefully she accepted my assurances that it's all good. We just want you to be safe. Okay. With that, Trustee Sweeney, we moved item 7.1 up to, as a new number 3 after approval of the agenda. And we approved the agenda with that change. So now we are at 7.1, discussion and action item, consideration regarding posting job opening for interim superintendent. Who would like to open up the discussion?
I will, one second. Of course, my computer
Okay.
decided
Right.
to
It went to sleep.
update real quick,
Okay.
so.
Trustee Napier, when you're ready.
So, yeah, this was, like I mentioned earlier in the meeting, this was a recommendation that I had requested to the board president and superintendent. In my opinion, this is a critical piece to the future of our community and the well-being of our students and our staff and our families and our community. Even though it's an interim position, I don't think we should ever downplay that or make a hasty decision on just moving forward. I think it will show respect to the community, it'll show respect to the families and the parents and the kids and the staff specifically, that we as a board take it serious to take our time. And like I mentioned last meeting, the superintendent was, provided us a very respectful way and timeline for her retirement that gives us time. And rushing this process as we would not want anyone to do with any position at the district, no matter what the position is, all the way to the top, we should never rush it. And allowing the public, the staff, to know that we want to open this up to a standard job posting. And that could be that, meaning anybody who's qualified should be able to apply. And I recognize that does provide a slight delay in the process. However, I think it is the diligent process to tell the public and the staff and the community and the kids that, hey, we care. And we have a handful of months here to do the right thing. So the superintendent and their team put together, as you guys see on your agenda, a pretty comprehensive yet simple job posting here. I think it summarizes exactly what we need. And I think the biggest conversation that I would like to have with the board is a discussion on timeline. How does that line up? And do we do interview? What does that process look like? So anyways, I just want to be on the record that as a trustee, I want to show the utmost respect to the position and the utmost respect to the staff and the students, teachers, everyone, that we want to take our time. We want to do this properly and find the right person. And even though that position could potentially be temporary, it still matters. It's still very, very important that person is doing what's best for our students and our staff and the board first. And I think that's something we as a board need to do the best we can for that. So with that being said, I'd like to hear from the other board members where they stand with that. I'll kind of defer to the superintendent here a little bit as far as timelines and just kind of help me understand dates and things like that. But I think I'd like to open it back up to the other board members to hear where you guys are.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yeah, sorry. I would just agree. I know I've never obviously been a part of this process, so for me, I do want to take my time and make sure that I'm understanding the responsibility of us to make sure that we find the right candidate, regardless of the timeline. But obviously, we can't just ignore the timeline as well. So, but yeah, I think this is a great start, so.
Were you going to?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I saw you reaching for your button, so
So I can't agree with what I'm about to present, but a couple years ago, with their former superintendent, LAUSD decided not to do a superintendent that had previous administrative credential, which means they were a business person. They lasted one term, semi-successful, I don't know. But I just want to see if there's anything in this job, this draft of this job, whatever it's called, sorry. The job description, job posting that we want to change, that's all.
So if I might, just to give you an idea of how I put that together, I went online and reviewed a number of interim postings that I could find. Then I created one. After I created this, I shared it with DWK, Candace Bendoya, asked her to review it and provide any feedback or adjustments. And really, the only adjustments came in the form of typo corrections. So other than that, she felt it was very, very standard, and provides all the basics. So that's the feedback that I can share with you.
Anything else, Vice President Kelly? Trustee Cooper, Clerk Wood?
I'm ready to move forward with whatever timeline that we get. But I think we also have to possibly think about, because we're coming up short, that we might have to have somebody internal until we find somebody. So that's something we need to think about.
Thank you. Trustee Cooper? Is your mic on?
Sorry about that. I agree with what Jackie has said, Trustee Wood. I do think it behooves us to be careful. Timeline be what it is, but I think it behooves us to strive to get the right person.
Thank you. I have some questions for anyone on the board. First of all, let me point out, as was in the email the superintendent sent this afternoon, Trustee Sweeney, I'm sure, hasn't had time to look at it. I don't know about the others of you, but this is not an action item tonight after the interview. As the superintendent reminded me this afternoon, whether it's an interim superintendent or a permanent superintendent, that vote can only be taken at a regular meeting. This is not a regular meeting. It's a special meeting. So and I'll share more specifically when we're in closed session, but Dr. McCoy had reached out to me. I had reached out to him just as he was on the CSBA search firm as a consultant, and he had spoken to our Rotary Club back in, I believe it was in June, and I just wanted to chat with him about the process as his experience was. He doesn't work for McPherson and Jacobson anymore. And then after our last meeting, he came to me with an offer, and I'll share what the county superintendent said in closed session. And I suggested he interview with us. That's one out of the way. So, but I have questions. Since we have to have choose an interim superintendent in a regular meeting in open session, that can't happen until November 12th at the earliest. And if none is chosen then, we can't choose again until December 17th. So we've had since the September meeting, when we were told by the superintendent that she was retiring, to start the process, and it's now late October, approximately 6 weeks afterwards, and really nothing's been settled at all. So using the term rushing, I don't think that's happening at all. The opportunity presented itself to have the interview, and it may be the only interview. It may be one of many. We just don't know. So I would like to know from the board, I think we need to set up a committee to, first of all, how long is the posting going to be? If we approve it, how long will the posting be up for? When will it go up and how long will it last?
I think we did discuss that a little bit at the last meeting. We were talking about like a 2-week time frame. I know we didn't set anything, but I know we did discuss like a minimal time frame of the job posting. So hopefully, we can figure that out today.
And then, so that would take us, if it was posted tomorrow, which is the earliest it can be posted, that's the 24th, so we're looking at November 6th, 7th, something like that. With the November 12th meeting being a few days later, on the 12th, approximately 6 days, 5 days afterwards. So then my next question is, who's going to screen, if we get a large number of applicants, or even a medium number, who's going to screen the paperwork to see who deserves an interview? That's open, not just to you, just to all the board members.
I think the 12th has been changed to December 17th after the county certifies their vote.
In December.
Yeah. So just as a reminder, December 12th date doesn't hold anymore.
I can't hear you, Tracy. Make sure you
Oh,
talk
the
in
December
mic, not
date
talk to
doesn't
him.
hold, it's December 17th.
And I'd say December 12th. We can't vote on that. So if we put the vote off till December 17th, then we're running, the district's running 2 weeks without a superintendent. And even at that meeting, there's an organizational meeting at the very beginning of that. And maybe this is a question for legal. Who swears in the new board members?
Those, I agree, those are all logistical questions to answer. I'm 100% confident in the team that we have to manage those situations, and there are a lot of resources available to them. People have voids in leadership often, in many organizations, industries, and private sector, public sector, whatever. I have full confidence in the team that we see in front of us at every single board meeting that that can work out. Is it difficult? Is it time consuming? Yeah, absolutely. But I hope they hear it from me on the record that I have zero concern. It will be hard, because I got to do the other jobs too, but that can be done. Yeah, to Paul's point earlier, my recommendation when we get to that point is going to be that we post it tomorrow, and then it does close on that November 6th timeframe. The logistics of deciding on, is it a committee that reviews them, makes recommendations to the board? I think that's a viable conversation. But yeah, I don't want the fact that we will have a void of a superintendent to hinder us. We have a great team throughout the schools, so.
I agree with that, but as far as I need more specifics on, like, let's say we get 6 applicants, just throwing a number out. So who screens those applications?
Well, you're either being rhetorical or you have an idea. So what would you recommend?
I have no idea. Well, my
You have no
would
idea or
be-
you have no recommendation?
it should be, as I mentioned, have a small committee of board
Okay,
members.
so then
does
that's
it.
your recommendation then?
Mhm.
Okay.
It shouldn't be, I pointed this out in a conversation with the superintendent last week. Mr. Lowe, when he announced he wanted to take the teaching position at TILA, was he part of his replacement's hiring process? And the answer is no. No teacher is part of their replacement hiring process if they leave the district or retire. It really, this is our employee, the superintendent, and we should be doing the paper screening for the interim position. Of course, when we're looking for permanent superintendent, that's what, the last item on the agenda is for tonight, that we have the search firm. And I appreciate Trustee Napier, you wanting someone that's going to do a good job as interim. And we'll see the interview tonight, and even if he knocks our socks off, we can't vote on this till November 12th at the earliest.
Okay, so you're telling me, what I'm hearing is we cannot vote on it till a regular meeting, which that's pretty obvious, pretty simple. And if we posted it tomorrow and gave a 2-week time frame, it would close on the 6th. Could we do a special meeting on November 7th? And we all, in a very transparent manner, special meeting, just discuss the process and then vote on it on the 12th?
That's a possibility, yeah.
It's a possibility, or we can?
Well, I don't know when November 7th is,
It's a Thursday, what do you mean?
Thursday.
Yeah.
I will not be here because my wife's having a medical procedure, the 3-week one. Well, I don't know that for certain because it's scheduled, her normal time would be the day before Thanksgiving, and they don't do those procedures during a holiday week. Let me know, did Vice President Kelly had to leave at 6:36 as he's not feeling well. He had to step out. But, if we can get interviews done we could have them November 12th during the day, and that would suffice, sure. That's why I'm asking about timelines, because I had forgotten about the regular meeting requirement for a vote on a superintendent, and then realized this kind of puts us, I wouldn't call it a bind, but kind of helps us decide what we need to do.
So as a clarification, Mr. Kaminsky, I think to clarify the idea about voting, that I think the board could come to consensus and have an agreement in a special meeting, but a contract itself, because no contract that details compensation and terms of employment and whatever, that has to be approved at a regular meeting. So the board could have a special meeting, could review applications, could call and hold interviews in special meetings, but the actual action itself to approve a contract and take a formal vote on that contract would have to be at a regular meeting.
Correct.
Yeah. That's what I gathered. Thank you.
And if I think, if I had a consensus by then of a candidate, I would contact schools legal to ask about the timing of the contract and when it could be ready, things like that.
So you're not available on the 7th of November, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
What if we did the 5th and then did the special board meeting on the 6th? It's 1 day shy of 2 weeks.
The 5th's on a Tuesday. I would have to drive from Pomona.
No, the meeting would be on a Wednesday. Like if we
All right, when
close,
are you leaving, on the 7th?
Oh, you know what, no, I can do the 7th. Sorry, I'm getting my
Your
days of the week
months,
confused.
yeah.
that's okay.
I'm not available Monday and Wednesday, and Tuesday I could do, I would just have to drive from Pomona and then back again for
Oh,
her
no, so the
procedure.
7th is a Thursday.
So you are available the 7th?
I am available the
perfect.
7th.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. So then we can have a 2-week timeline, which would close on the 6th, which is a Wednesday, and then we'd have a meeting on the 7th to go through all the
Yeah.
papers.
And then when would we do interviews?
I don't know. I'm trying to get the first part done.
Well,
The
Monday,
interviews could-
the
did
11th is
it-
Veterans Day. just
Correct.
to-
Correct. Yeah, the interviews are closed session, right? Those take place in
That's
closed
correct.
session. We can vet the applications, open session.
I-
Okay.
I might suggest, since it's maybe a week and a half to have the posting, and then do the interviews on the 7th because
10 days.
of Veterans Day.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Have it, you're saying close a little bit early, set up interviews for the 7th itself?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. And then vote on it as
Well,
well.
we're getting one done tonight.
Okay.
So just to clarify, so that staff would be able to coordinate for you, so all the applicants that are received would have an interview scheduled for the 7th? Is that what you're saying?
The ones that, if we get a application that's really unsatisfactory, they don't even have a credential, say, we need to screen those out.
When will we be closing? What's,
Well, this is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
clarify, because what I was hearing is, post it tomorrow, it would close on the 6th. The board would have a special meeting on the 7th to review all of the applications and do the interviews.
Now, if we went to a week and a half, it would close probably on the Monday. And if we wanted to meet in closed session on the next day to
On Tuesday, the 5th?
talk in closed session what we wanted to do with the interviews.
I think
then we
having
could-
meetings on election day is probably bad practice.
I'm sorry, what?
I think having meetings on election day is bad practice.
Oh, you are correct.
That's why I was saying is if, scheduling, if we just go with the applicants that meet all of the criteria of
right, we would just,
the qualifications, have a credential, have the things that are provided, that if an interview is scheduled for the
And
7th.
since it's, could the committee meet and screen the papers before, just so we had a,
Not in that timeline. You would have to push out
well,
your
I mean,
interviews.
I'm fine meeting with the committee if it was on the 5th. I mean, it's not a board meeting that we're having, but it could be a committee that would go through the ones and see which ones make the criteria and then make the phone calls.
yeah, I'd appreciate that.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not the whole board that's meeting, but we're just checking the boxes for the people. Yeah, they have that. Okay, we'll move forward
Right.
on this one. This one doesn't have it, we're not moving forward.
Yeah,
So-
the intent of the committee would be just to vet out, make sure it's not
Yes.
like I applied, like, well, of course, Tyler's not qualified, throw him in the trash, right? So I get that. That makes sense. I like that. That'd be
The only
great.
issue that I'm going to point out would be that applicants, I suppose it could be put into the job posting itself, because if you're screening on the 5th and you're calling people on the 5th and asking them to come less than 48 hours later, or
I think you,
about 48 hours
like you said, I think in the
later,
job
that's-
posting, you could say it in there saying, save the date, November 7th, save the date. And I think we should offer a Zoom as well. I mean, if,
Sure.
I think
I don't have a
that's,
problem with that.
I don't think we should require in person, just, it's a lot of travel. But I think save the date in the job posting would be good to say, in this time frame of 5 to midnight, or whatever, that we might want to talk to you. So that'd be great.
Superintendent, do you want to go over that one more time, just to make sure?
I think I've got it. Post tomorrow. Well, before we post, go ahead and make the revision to the job description itself, just to state that interviews are intended to be held on November 7th between 5 and 10 p.m.
All right.
I would
And
just say beginning at 5 o'clock.
and it may be in person or via Zoom.
Yes. And then,
And then with the intent of maybe even the job posting that the November 12th is when maybe just post it in there that the board will decide on the 12th.
right,
And then superintendent, you'll work with legal to kind of, or Paul and you will work with legal to kind of decide how that contract, what do we do after that? We pick candidate A on the 12th, then what, right? Is it?
The candidate wouldn't be picked on the 12th. The candidate would have to be picked ahead of time so that the
On the
contract could
7th.
be.
Sorry,
after the
officially
interviews.
seated, voted on the 12th.
Correct.
So then that's when it's actually official.
Right.
Just in case somebody changes their mind or whatever, but it's the
Right,
12th, it's
so
official.
Mr. Kaminsky could work with council to get a template contract.
Okay.
and if I will reach out to her this week, just give her a heads up.
Perfect.
And what time is the meeting on the 7th?
5 PM?
Okay.
That's fine with me. So I guess the next question is selecting a committee. Is that what I'm hearing?
If I can just want to ask one
Yeah.
minor logistical question, who will the applications go to?
I would suggest that just like we did with the RFPs, that they go to Miss Deanna Barnes.
That's what I was going to suggest, if it was a different, yeah, thank you. Okay, trustee Napier?
No, yeah, my next question was the discussion of the committee. Who's going to meet on the 5th, right? That was the date, the 5th?
Correct.
That could be, it doesn't have to be at night, it could be a midday or whatever.
I'm going to be sipping with the soup on the 5th, but I can do it after that. I could come to the office. I'm willing to be on the committee.
I'm
Thank you, Clerk Wood.
available on the 5th as well if I was selected to be on the committee. Correct.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, we're not going to have an actual meeting that night. It would just be the committee would be actually meeting that day.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be nice if we had one more volunteer, and
Yeah, not volunteers that might not be here. I'm just saying, I might not win, so, but, you
Well,
know.
you're still on the board on that day.
I know, I'm still on the board till the
Yeah, yeah.
17th, that's
Right.
right. So I
Yeah,
have 2 cents.
I'll volunteer for the 5th. I'm hearing Jackie as well.
Yeah.
all right. Seeing no other volunteers, we'll have to reach out to Vice President Kelly once he's better to see if he wishes to serve on the committee, and the three of you can work, if he's able to, work out a time and place.
Okay. You'll coordinate that, or through the superintendent will coordinate that?
I can coordinate it. And I would CC the superintendent.
Perfect.
But I think it's perfectly fine according to the Brown Act if you two, or even all three of you, just figure out a time and just let us know, the rest of us.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if there's since everybody's here right now, if you guys can agree on a time that works for you, then we can prep the large conference room so that we have all the copies and everything available for you on that date for you to review.
Yeah, that'd be great.
What time does Tracy usually get home from school? I'm not
Well, he
sure,
was
but-
here, I got here at 4:35 and he was already here, so we'll just need to,
Okay.
Yeah, earlier the better in the day, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Let's.
he might want
I'm-
to take a half, I know he's already mentioned to his principal
Oh,
that
that he could take half days.
that he's going to need time to help with this search. And so, of course, I don't want him to be the one to finalize this, but if he could take a half day, you guys could meet in the morning.
Sure.
Well, that'd be great, yeah.
Or even a half day in the afternoon and early in the afternoon.
Yeah, I'm open.
Okay, thank you all.
So morning, the morning.
We have to talk to Vice President Kelly first. See if he wants, because he's expressed interest, great amount of interest.
Like at 10 or something like that.
That'd be great. What time is sipping with the soup, you said? I can't remember.
It's
It's early in the morning.
7:30 to 10.
Okay, that'd be great, yeah.
10:15, give me time.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the posting the job opening for interim superintendent as we've discussed?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It was motioned by trustee Napier and seconded by trustee Sweeney that the board instruct the superintendent's office to post the job opening for interim superintendent tomorrow with a committee meeting on November 5th and interviews done on the 7th of November. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Closed session. I'm sorry. Number 3, public comments for closed session. I have one. Ms. Bowman. Let me do my spiel first. Since this is a closed session item, members of the public will be given an opportunity to speak on the closed session item at this time. Ms. Bowman.
My name is Val Bowman, and I am the Tehachapi Association President. This agenda was very confusing, and so thank you, Trustee Napier, for requesting the agenda be amended and the board for amending it. Item 4, 1A, the interim superintendent interview, and 7, number 1, the job posting, it confused everybody when it came out. Our members were like, what is this? And so I appreciate that you were able to get this taken care of. The next question we have is, how in the world are interim superintendent interviews being held tonight when no job has been posted? Holding an interview now would be the equivalent to a free-for-all and would violate TUSD Board Policy 2120. TAT understands the school board has the right to select an interim superintendent, but the same policy also states there will be a fair selection process to ensure a smooth transition into new leadership. Everyone knows Superintendent Larson Everson is leaving at the end of November, and there's a sense of urgency. But we've spent 5 years building strong bridges between the unions, the districts, only one district, the board, and stakeholders. The wrong person, even an interim, could turn those bridges to tinder and could burn it all to the ground. At the October 8th school board meeting, both TAT and CSEA requested being part of the process for electing the interim and permanent superintendents. We also suggested certificated management and the community be involved. Listening to board discussions, it appeared as if the board wanted stakeholder involvement in superintendent selections too. As a matter of fact, it was repeated over and over. If an interview actually happens today, no stakeholders would be involved in any part of this process. Basically, the people who work daily at sites and community members are being ignored, and the October 8th board discussion will have been for show. It is a betrayal of previous conversations. Again, if this interview occurs tonight, how did this person know to apply for this position? Nothing has flown. Stakeholders have no idea about the qualifications of this person besides the publicly held credentials. But who is this person? It wasn't discussed at the past board meeting, and there was no discussion about any kind of interview at the past board meeting. What about questions? Are there questions? Who wrote the questions? Were they created with the appropriate assistance from KCSOS or a search group, a headhunting group? Since no search group has been selected, the question again is, how does anyone know if the questions are appropriate? What is the rigor or criteria for these questions? Who approved these questions? Is interviewing someone today even ethical? Being a school board member, actually any type of board member, it's tough. It's a tough job. I look like this because I'm a board member. No answer is quick or easy. But interviewing today is a sneaky move. Offering an interview without following proper protocols is underhanded and egotistical. Moreover, it shows a lack of transparency. Slow down and take a breath. She's here for another month. Per California Education Code, no interim superintendent can be selected today anyway. The announcement has to occur in open session. So take a breath. You guys have already decided that you're going to look through stuff anyway. Take a breath. This doesn't have to be so quick. We want the right person, not the wrong person. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. Are there any other public comments for closed session?
I have a comment when they're done.
Oh, I guess they are, so go ahead.
I agree with Ms. Bowman. I appreciate the comments. I'm actually going to be recusing myself and not attending closed session based upon the conversation that we had tonight and the process that we have approved tonight, and that will begin the job posting tomorrow. I think an interview is actually an unfair practice. I think it's not a fair practice to those who want to apply. I feel bad for the gentleman that's here tonight, but if he gets a moment in closed session with us and gets to pick our brain, ask us questions, and it's just a free-for-all, I think that puts a very unfair advantage on the other candidates that may be deciding to apply. So if you guys want to go back there, you're more than welcome to, but I'll wait out here until you report out.
Any other board member want to comment?
I would also like to recuse myself. I did not know this was happening until obviously very short notice. And like I said previously, this is my first experience. I don't know like what this process is supposed to look like, and I don't feel prepared going into an interview right now, and I'm sorry.
Okay, well, with Vice President Kelly having to leave because of illness, and you two recusing yourself, we will not have a quorum in the interview, and my apologies to Dr. McCoy. And I hope you can join us on the 7th, if you wish.
Mr. Kaminsky,
And
I
make
just
sure you
want to
apply.
mention that normally, I know you mentioned Mr. McCoy's name, but I just want to state on the record that normally candidates' names are confidential and are not shared as public information. And just as a caution going forward, that as the board discusses future candidates, that particular names should be discussed in closed session. Open session is for process and procedure.
Right,
Just wanted
thank
to
you.
state that.
Agree. President Kaminsky brought his name up at the very beginning of the meeting. He's technically not a candidate at this point, so it's not even official for him to be a candidate at this time.
And in fairness to myself, I think Clerk Wood was the only one. When I was selected as interim superintendent in 2018, there was absolutely no process, no interview. Yes, they knew me, but there was no posting. It was suggested by a trustee and discussed, and I was asked if I had superintendent experience. My answer was no. And so that's what I'm used to. We go through our experiences, and I apologize again to the candidate that's here and to any, I'm just trying to make the process more efficient, and I apologize. I should have waited till the job was posted. It's just, like I was saying, in my experience, that didn't happen. Should it have? Well, yeah, but different set of circumstances, so thank you, everyone. With that, we'll let,
I did
Clerk Wood.
hand out some desired qualification type things that maybe people can look at. I have one if you want it also, Val, for questions and things that we will be asking, just to start with, because right now we have nothing. And maybe if people could submit some things, that would be good too.
Absolutely, and that could be for, may I suggest you and Trustee Napier be emailed suggested questions by any trustee that wishes to do so.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen till the 7th, but we need to get a start on that too, so.
Right.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Okay.
And if it's not my place, then I apologize in advance, but I was listening to what Mr. Napier said and listening to what Ms. Bowman said, and it sounded like there has been conversation about having some level of inclusivity with stakeholders in the process. And so at this point, we have a posting that's going to go up. We have a committee that's going to be looking at the candidates, but there really hasn't been any discussion about how stakeholders would be involved to this point. And the only suggestion that I could make to that end, given the timelines and everything that's occurring, is perhaps for there to be a survey that could be posted so that anybody who wanted to submit the qualifications, characteristics, whatnot, could do so, and then the board committee and the board could review those. Just a suggestion.
I think that's a fantastic idea. In addition to that, the meeting on the 7th will be open session for discussion, right? So we'll be able to take kind of some public comment at that point. I know that could just be, it won't
That
be
could-
as
that
open.
could, yeah. I
but-
mean, I don't know how much time, because we don't really know, are there going to be three
Yeah,
potential
or
candidates or
300, yeah.
30?
Right.
And what would that look like
Yeah.
as far as time during a meeting for people to come and make public comment? At least if there's a time frame, if a survey were to go out and people know, hey, I have, 10 days to submit my responses, then they can do that at their leisure.
Would your recommendation be to, like, a generic survey, that it's not just specific to CSEA or TAT? It's just it could be parents, it could be, you could send out a parent square and an email to the staff saying,
And a
hey.
pop-up on the-
we want your input. I love that. That sounds
I
great.
I would just make it easy, instead of trying to decide on specific survey questions, just in your position as a parent, staff member, what have you, what qualities do you want to see in an interim superintendent? Period.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Question mark.
like
Is there consensus on that? Because then we can go with that, and we can have Mr. McKay put it as a pop-up, and I can create it as a Google form. That way they can just click into it and submit their
That'd be great.
answer.
Yeah, I think that's great.
And then if you can ensure that it's sent out a parent square as well, but then also to all district staff via email, that they're aware of the direct link to it as well. Thank you. I like that. It's a great suggestion.
Perfect.
May I ask a question, Steve?
Yes.
Would we like to keep that anonymous? Or, sorry, would we like to keep the form anonymous?
Yes, when I create the form, we won't collect,
Perfect.
we won't collect that data. As to who it came from, we'll just collect the responses.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Mr. Kaminsky, could you repeat the sentence one more time? I'm trying to write quickly, but I think I'm
Oh.
failing.
In-
What qualities
What qualities do you, would you expect,
would you like to see?
would you like to see in an interim superintendent? Yes, Ms. Bowman?
So we just did a survey through CPK, and it was, you have to like rate yourself and you have to rate other people. And it was like are you happy, why not set it up like that where you just press a button on like what you want for superintendent, and then it can query it and add it all up, so you don't have to look through each individual, because you could have thousands of responses on a Google form. But if people can just respond, I'm not really techie, so I'm not really getting the words out right. But if you
Yeah.
just have to press a button, like maybe Google could do
I
sum it
think
up?
If everybody's okay with that, we will do it in the best way that we can, in alignment with what the board wants, and having it go out tomorrow to coincide with the job posting, then
But be easy, so it's not so hard
I think
to assess?
I
be
think the
fillable
way
is
it's designed
easy.
is easy. It's gonna, and it's also gonna get, and if we do get 1,000 responses,
That's
great. That's, my hope is we do get 1,000 responses, and if they can type in there, that's what we need. If it's like, are you happy with because then we'll have to format questions. Are you happy with education, 1 through 10? Are you happy with athletics, 1 through 10? Like, that's super, to me, that's generic. I'd like to hear.
I don't mean it like that. And I wish I could explain it better, but I'm so not techie enough to explain it.
It's going to be very simple.
Jack's got it.
Kids' hearts, where they already had the words
Yeah.
that you just selected.
Yeah, maybe list 10 qualities and pick the top 5 in order of your.
No, I'm very familiar with capturing kids' hearts, and what they're describing is that basically, it's just a long list of descriptors, and there could be 100 words, and you click on the words that are the ones that you want to pick. Like,
To me, sorry.
No, it's okay. That way you give a bar graph, essentially, a percentage of how many think this quality versus this quality,
Right.
versus trying to cipher through all the different descriptions, is what she's trying to say.
I think you
yeah,
can do it.
and what I'm saying at this point is, if we had more time.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I think my point in bringing it up was to solicit a way to provide an opportunity to input for all stakeholders. I think if we do a Google form where we just simply state what the question is and people can fill it in, it may take an hour or 2 hours for the board to review what all those responses are, but the board will be receiving that input, which I think is important.
Agree.
Acknowledges-
Yeah, I'd like to allow people as much detail as possible. in addition to that, how would that information be disseminated back to the board? Is that going to be at the meeting, or is that information we could have prior to the meeting, prior to the 7th?
Prior,
Okay.
I would think, yeah.
I mean, is there?
Yeah, how you format that, I have no idea, but I'm asking because I don't know if it's possible.
Or at the beginning of the meeting on the 7th.
I feel like we're trying to add too much.
Suddenly,
to
I'm
the
making a
Yeah.
lot more work for myself.
It was your idea. I
No,
think it's a
I'm
great
not.
idea,
It's my
though.
pleasure.
I think not allowing any opportunity for feedback from the staff, the families, the public is a bad practice. So
Yeah.
I think we need to keep it as simple as possible,
Yeah,
but
and I think I've done a lot of surveys, so I'm very comfortable with the Google form that we can do that and have it be a fillable, where people write a short or long response, whatever it is that they'd like. And I think we could prepare those. It makes sense to me, unless you direct differently, to have those available for the board on the 7th, when the board is reviewing applicants. At that time, the board can, before reviewing the applicants, can review all the survey intake and then look at the
Well,
applicants.
the review of the applicants is done by the committee on the 5th.
Right, they're just those that meet the criteria and don't meet the criteria,
Right, so we'll
right?
have that information from the staff and public before the interviews on the 7th.
So that you want, but the rest of the board is convening on the 7th. It's only the committee on the 5th. So are you suggesting that we give the survey results to the committee or reserve that for the whole board on the 7th?
I have faith in the committee to see what it is and in a concise way, give the information to the board on the 7th.
I know I probably won't be able to be on the committee, but I would like to see those results. I do trust the committee, however, I think it's very eye-opening for me.
They'll
just
show
on a
us the
personal-
results.
Right,
Yeah,
but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like we're starting to cram too much on the 7th, and it's getting that rushed feeling again. And I don't know, can we split up interviews and have them on 2 days? Because I feel like this meeting's gonna be really long,
well,
if we're
then
trying to discuss
now
all
we're
of these
starting over.
different things.
I
Yeah.
hear you. Maybe we start over. Maybe the committee brings a recommendation of 3 candidates.
Right.
Sure.
I'm fine with
I
that.
really
I'm
don't think
thinking
you're
out
going
loud.
to get
Instead
that
of
many.
bringing 3 or 30, we bring 3.
I don't think we're going to get that many applicants that
Yeah.
have an administrative credential.
I'm sorry, say it again?
I don't think we're going to get that many candidates
Oh.
as an interim that have the proper credentials.
Agreed. I get it. Okay, so we want to leave it open-ended that we bring all qualified candidates. I'm asking, I'm not
Qualified.
recommending either way.
Just assuming if my assumption's right, yes.
If for some reason on the 5th, there's a plethora of candidates, even, like I said, this is my first time. I know, I trust that you don't think there might not be that many, but what if 3 turns into 5? Although it's only 2 more, that's an amount of time, and I just want to make sure that I'm giving each and every candidate the same amount of time, and you know what I mean? So I don't want anybody to feel rushed because we're like, oh, we have 5 candidates instead of 3. And I just want to make sure that their time is valued just as much, so.
Right.
Just a backup plan maybe, just in case, I don't
Well,
know.
just keep in mind that the county superintendent has already contacted retired superintendents, because that's basically, no one with a current job is going to take an interim position for a couple months. And and the main reason is the STRS cap on receiving, like when I subbed, I was receiving STRS benefits, but I couldn't go over, I think, $41,000 and change in a certain time period with pay. And then after that, my retirement is affected in a negative way. So that's why,
You're also making an assumption that it's only going to be retired people that are going to apply.
most likely, because
Well,
people
but not
that
for
have
sure. But
have
not
a
for sure.
full-time job that are properly credentialed, I don't see them taking this.
Well, job market's different now, though. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't know.
You could have somebody take it, or apply for it, not take it, apply for it, and then decide to retire when they're done.
And then
Well, we might have internal candidates who wish to apply as well.
That's true as well.
That's what I'm getting at. Well, based upon that, I think those are good comments all around. Sorry, Stacy, Superintendent, we're making a change again. My recommendation would be that we discuss that the committee would bring a recommendation of 3 candidates to the board for discussion and interviews on the 7th.
I don't want to put that limit in case there's 4 good candidates and you can't decide. I hate to put a number on it, but
I don't want to put a number either, but maybe that's why I think instead of a committee, as a board, we review those things. And then I know that you don't like that timeline, but I think we should push out when we vote on a person or do interviews if we're trying to cram this all in a week. I feel like it's a lot. But that's just my opinion.
any more discussion?
So I'm going to ask for clarification.
I don't blame you.
Sorry.
I don't blame you.
Because I want to make sure that how we had previously left it was, we would post tomorrow. The subcommittee was getting together to screen out unqualified candidates on the 5th, rather than screen in those that are the top candidates, but screen out those who don't meet the criteria. And we'll include in the posting that there's an intention for the interviews to be held beginning at 5 p.m. on November 7th, and that the board would intend to approve the selected candidate on November 12th at the regular meeting. So that's how we have it right now. If we also, in addition to posting the job description tomorrow, also send out the open-ended survey through Parent Square, through email, and through a pop-up. And that survey would remain open through the 5th as well, so that information can then be shared with the subcommittee and also with the board on the 7th.
One thing you mentioned on the survey, they're going to need it before the 5th, the responses, because they're meeting on the 5th. Oh, no, I take that back. I'm the one that's confused.
The 4th, let me look at the calendar.
I do think we should have an alternate volunteer for the committee. We're making an assumption that Tracy is going to be there.
The 4th. Survey should close on the 4th.
Okay, the 4th. Yeah, he's not here, so I don't want to just, then what? We leave this room and he's like, oh, I'm busy. Then what?
It's just you and I.
All right, perfect.
We have trust in you.
Oh, okay, all right.
I don't know what to say.
If you guys are good with that, I am.
Okay, so I need a motion. Let's see if I can get this right. I need a motion for the board to approve the plan of subcommittee to meet on November 5th to take in information from a survey, open-ended survey that closes on the 4th. And then they will screen applicants to the position that's being posted tomorrow. And in that posting will be the timeline of paper screening, deadline, paper screening, and then interviews to be conducted on the 7th to those candidates that the committee feels are qualified.
I feel like any of the board members could come in on the 6th or even early on the 7th and look at the survey if they wanted to. It's not just.
We just have to be careful not to communicate between ourselves. That's it.
Right, but
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good point,
they're
Trustee
going
Wood.
to be here,
Clerk Wood,
so if you wanted to come in and look at them,
I might
you
call
could.
you, I might call you or Trustee Napier and just, what you got?
Yeah, so that's what
Well,
I'm
as far
saying.
as the survey goes, we could definitely have those prepared in a binder. It's available. Somebody wants to drop in and read through.
That's
Perfect.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So you looking for a motion?
Yes. I
So
don't
moved.
think I can say it again.
I make the motion.
Any second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
It was motioned by trustee Napier, seconded by trustee Cooper, to approve the motion as presented, approve the item as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, everyone. Item 7.2, discussion and action item, consideration and selection of proposals from search firms for hiring new superintendent. Superintendent Larson Everson, did you want to?
Sure, everybody has the 4 proposals received. They're also attached to the agenda. You should have the following. You should have a proposal from Education Leadership Services, which is otherwise known as ELS. I apologize, but there's a lot of acronyms involved. So that is one proposal. You should have another proposal from Leadership Associates. You should have proposal number 3 from McPherson and Jacobson, fondly known as Mac and Jake. And then the final proposal is from Human Capital Enterprises. So those are the 4 agencies that responded to the RFP within the timeframe. You all have the proposals in front of you, and as I stated before, they're attached to the agenda. I do want to thank Mrs. Barnes for all of her diligence in preparing all of these materials and working with the various inquiries that came once the RFP was posted. And she was corresponding with different agencies quite a bit, including outside of business hours, to get people what they needed and provide clarification, and it was much appreciated. So that's what you have. You have these 4. I'm guessing that you want to go through one at a time.
Yeah, if we want to, I just want to remind the board, we didn't know how many we were going to have tonight. We had agreed at the last meeting to pick the top 3 and have them present on November 12th. So instead of getting stuck in the weeds, so to speak, of who the best 3 are, if we could come to a common consensus about, actually it's an action item as well, the one we don't want to hear on the 12th. Might make it a little easier, I don't know, but.
So I don't know if you have a preferred method, or you just want to start with the first one from Education Leadership Services. And the nice thing about an RFP is that you'll find that they're all in the same format. The information is provided in an orderly fashion so that they're comparable. And I think that makes it, ease of review, for lack of a better phrase. But it's really at your discretion as to how you want to.
I'm sorry, what'd you name?
approach
The
those.
orders doesn't matter to me. I don't think to any
I
other
was
board member.
saying Education Leadership Services, the ELS.
That's fine,
So I want to look at that one first.
sure. And for members of the public, my apologies, you have to watch us read.
Well, they are attached to the agenda, and now
Yeah,
that we've
and
selected.
if they have
which
their
one,
iPhone, they can
Mr.
look at what
McKay
we're
has
looking
it
at.
up there.
Okay.
So the only suggestion that I have, and once again, you all can tell me to pipe down and butt out, but since engagement has come up a lot with stakeholders and, finding a good match for the community, then that's definitely a section that I would suggest that the board look at consistently in each one of the proposals. Mr. McKay, if you would scroll to page 8, in that proposal, there's a timeline. I think that gives a a great overview right there. I don't know if you can make that bigger, just do your Control Plus, yeah. Very cool. So again, what you'll find in each one of these proposals is that they have included, at the end of the proposal, a timeline. So you can see the significant activities that they're detailing and when they suggest that they would be carrying those out.
Just food for thought for the trustees that are reading through, but something that stood out to me when I was reading it last night, because we had these electronically, but try to go a little deeper today, but human capital enterprises, if going by President Kaminsky's recommendation to kind of find one to remove, they're all very qualified, very good proposals here, but specifically human capital enterprises, on their superintendent searches from 2018 to present, they don't have a single one in California. So for what that's worth, to me, that's a big deal. They have not done any searching in California. I think that could be a big delay, or they may not have the reach that these other firms do. The other firms have very specific qualifications within our state. Not that those other states are, better or worse than us, but to me, that's a big deal, that they're not listing any California superintendent search experience. So my recommendation would be to eliminate human capital enterprises.
Did you notice, though, how they put nice pictures of trains and our pictures from the internet of our students and
I
staff?
say, I did
All
see
right,
the bus
you said it, not
picture,
me.
And I
You
was
said it,
like,
not me.
hey, where'd they find that one?
So,
I gave them points for that.
yeah,
I would agree,
other things, but
considering
those are
6
some
years
pretty
of research.
major red flags, in my opinion, of if you've never searched in California. California has the different dynamic of education than Georgia or Oregon or whatever. So for sake of time, that's
Truer
my
words were
recommendation.
never spoken.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Truer words
Yeah,
were never
so
spoken.
for sake of time, that's my recommendation, but I'll leave it at that.
I'm in agreement.
I think the way that President Kaminsky framed it for us to look at one to eliminate for sake of time is going to be very nice. It almost, in my opinion, just kind of interview process be the best case scenario for the other three.
Well, I just finished looking through the ELS. The Education Leadership Services, and I thought it was a solid proposal.
I actually.
And I will suggest we all look at the human capital proposal next.
Sounds good.
And also, we did look at McPherson and Jacobson and Leadership Associates at the last meeting. I'm sure there'll be some changes there, but
I would also just recommend a move to strike the human capital from the list. The fact that they're based in Palm Springs, and to the point Tyler made that they have not had a superintendent on their list in California, is kind of concerning.
the second sentence, Human Capital Enterprises, the only truly national superintendent search firm based in California. And then when you go to the next page, they list their superintendent searches from 2018 to present.
It's
I'm
only
not
3
going to
states.
count all of them, but I don't see the abbreviation CA after each district's name, just Oregon, Vermont, Washington, so on and so forth.
Yep. That's what you just said. I made my choice.
I may add something else to not use human, whatever, human capital enterprises. At the bottom of page 7, it says, "Our searches typically include 4 levels of interview in order to fully vet candidates." And the third one dooms this if it wasn't already doomed. Optional, confidential community stakeholder interview. No. Both units need to be involved, parents, staff, administrators, all the stakeholders. It's nothing optional about that. That's offensive to me.
Sounds like we have our 3.
Yes, and I'll look at the other 2 at home because I know the timelines will be adjusted.
So I'll make a motion that we remove Human Capital Enterprises from the consultants for consideration.
I would rather it be worded, I move to accept the other 3. And if
I
you could
make a
name those.
motion to accept the proposals from Leadership Associates, McPherson and Jacobson, and Education Leadership Services to be considered at a future date.
I'll second.
Okay, it was motion by trustee Napier for the 3 firms, search firms, to be presenting at the November 12th meeting. And again, that's Leadership Associates, McPherson and Jacobson, and Education Leadership Services. It was motion by trustee Napier and seconded by trustee Sweeney. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
So another point of clarification, just to let you know that Mrs. Barnes will be reaching out to all 3 of those agencies and letting them know that they were selected for presentation on November 12th and the location and time of that meeting. I mean, I know there's going to be other items on the agenda. My intention would be, normally when we have presentations that are informational in nature, we put those at the top of the meeting. I do believe that we may have a student matter that will be a closed session that will come up at the beginning, once we open that meeting up, that the board would go to that closed session and then come back and in that time frame there, after returning with the pledge and whatnot, hear those presentations at that time, if that meets your needs.
Yes, and I'd just remind the board that not knowing what the student matter is about, we need to do our due diligence with that young person, like we did at the last meeting for that student. Anything else?
Not from me.
It is 7:34, and I am adjourning the meeting.